loud the Committee of Finance and Budget. I know it's one of the busiest committees.
And before you proceed, I think it's important I guide the House that the law requires nomination of a recommendation of 2 candidates, a man and a woman, and the President will appoint one of them. Thank you. May proceed.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for that guidance. I was to indicate, but it is important you did. Madam Speaker, I want to support and say the Finance and Budget Committee has done a tremendous job, a good job. For this, I think this report is well done, well captured, Madam Speaker. I think apart from the Senate County Public Accounts Committee, the second busiest committee is Finance and Budget, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I have seen credentials and the role of SRC, Madam Speaker. Let me say the following. Of course, under Article 230, the role of SRC cannot be gainsaid. It is very critical because now the decision of review of civil servants' salaries, which we are being told today, Madam Speaker, out of the revenue we collect as a country, Madam Speaker, 1.1 trillion goes to public servants in this republic. Therefore, the role SRC plays is very critical, Madam Speaker. And I've seen SRC has not been taking lightly the comments we make about their work. I have even suggested in the past that SRC should be a part-time commission because their work is not 8 to 5, Madam Speaker. Their work is to review periodically the salaries and remuneration and personal emoluments of public servants and state officers across this country, as was envisaged in Article 230. In fact, we should be looking at possibility of reducing the number of SRC commissioners in this republic, Madam Speaker, so that we are also, because if we are spending 1.1 trillion on salaries, personal emoluments for state officers, Madam Speaker, for civil servants, it is unfair because these civil servants, majority of Kenyans are not employed by a government, Madam Speaker. And therefore, even as we approve or as we transmit this motion, Madam Speaker, for the Minister of Treasury, of course, as we wait for the report of the National Assembly on the vetting exercise, of course, the CS nominee of Treasury, John Badingongo, should, if they get opportunity, to ensure that these people we approve give value to the offices that we are talking about. And therefore, in fact, SRC, Madam Speaker, has not been helpful in advice. By the way, if the reading, Madam Speaker, and you are a very senior lawyer in this republic, Madam Speaker, and Secretary General Emeritus, who ensured that you midwife the current government, Madam Speaker, it cannot be gainsaid. The work of SRC is to advise. I don't know where they got these powers. They have arrogated themselves powers to set the salary. It's not their business, Madam Speaker. And we have sat, Madam Speaker, they have never assisted us. Look, for example, at UHC, Universal Health Coverage in terms. We spend hours here. They told us they will work with the Council of Governors to confirm under permanent and pensionable terms of UHC in terms, Madam Speaker. Who served this country as true heroes when we have a COVID of 2020? They didn't assist. We have had push and pull over the issue of members of County Assembly, the MCS, Madam Speaker. Their personal emoluments, their welfare, Madam Speaker, but they have done nothing to ensure, Madam Speaker. And you know, under the labor laws, the law does not allow anybody to have their salary cut. It is never practiced anywhere in the world, Madam Speaker. We have told them, Madam Speaker, can you advise the country on the of members of County Assembly, Madam Speaker? We have insisted, we have sat through the AMCA, Madam Speaker. SRC has been no show. We have sat with the CAF, Madam Speaker. We have even, you remember, the intern doctors that demonstrated for the longest time possible. SRC could not advise the country, Madam. It is their domain to give a practical, implementable with the current, Madam. You saw the embarrassment that they wanted to put members of, and I suspect SRC was part of the people who are inciting Gen Z in this republic, because when there were protests in these countries, SRC went and issued a circular of increasing salaries of members of Parliament and other state officers. If we had not rejected, Madam Speaker, tungesalamiwa with these GNCs. They have embarrassed us. It means they are not having their work cut out. They don't follow what they should be doing as SRC, Madam Speaker. It was embarrassing. They embarrassed the presidency. They embarrassed the state officers, members of parliament. When the country is going through hard economic times, Madam Speaker, why would you want to increase the salary? And it embarrasses us, Madam. We in fact, I propose that through your office and through the head of public service, SRC must give us unreservedly apology to the country of the Kenya and state officers for putting us into embarrassment and setting us against coalition cause with the great people of Kenya, Madam Speaker. We have Kenyans who are earning less, Madam Speaker. Why don't you look at that? Every time Central Kotu, and you saw Francis Atwoli the other day when they're celebrating Labor Day. What is about the minimum wage? That is when we need the wisdom of SRC. It is not their business to look at what members of parliament and state officers should do. They should be looking at the minimum wage, the Wanjikus of this world, the Mazayos of this world, Madam Speaker, the Kiprotich of this world who do not have anything minimum wage, Madam Speaker. And that is why today as we talk, the allegations we are hearing, the governor of Nandi can hire young people, Madam Speaker, and give them helmets and give them the sticks, hockey stick, horse stick, Mr. Speaker, Madam Speaker, the sticks, the djembe sticks, to walk around and around in Kapsabet town as we talk, Madam Speaker, harassing law-abiding citizens because members of public wanted to go and occupy his office and ask billions of shillings, close to more than 50 billion that has been allocated to Nandi. Where is it? But he has gone ahead and hired, Madam Speaker, people carrying djembes, carrying funny crude weapons, walking around Kapsabet town, Madam Speaker. As we talk, it is shame for a governor to use the resources, and Governor Sang must be called out. Instead of providing drugs to Kapsabet County Referral Hospital, he is busy providing djembe sticks to young people to go and harass others, Madam Speaker. And I don't fear to, I am embarrassed of the Nandi County security team, Madam Speaker. In Namgoi, in the town, criminals are walking around with djembe sticks, and the county commander and the county security team is sitting unless they have been compromised by Governor Sang, Madam Speaker. It is very unfortunate. It is so sad. We go and tax Kenyans, give counties money. The governors misuse that money for their own selfish gains, Madam Speaker. We cannot allow this country, Madam Speaker. It is very unfortunate, Madam Speaker. And I want to challenge the Acting Inspector General of Police, Mr. Kanja, to tell us why would the police officers and county commander and county security team are sitting while young people, criminals hired by the governor, are walking around with the djembe sticks, harassing young men and women, pregnant mothers, the disabled in Kapsabet town in a clear, broad daylight, Madam Speaker. And yet we are struggling here. As we talk today, the ECD teachers of Nandi County are supposed to go on strike because they have not been paid. But when you hire hooligans, the county has money to hire, but they can't buy drugs. They can't pay ECD teachers very well, Madam Speaker. The roads are impassable in Nandi as we talk, Madam Speaker. So, Madam Speaker, as a house, and I'll be bringing a comprehensive statement to have the Inspector General of Police. We are doing what we call in quotes bad manners in this country, Madam Speaker. Because if you are allowing criminals to walk around with djembe sticks, with crude weapons, in a big town like Kapsabet, Madam Speaker, what are you selling the rest of the country, Madam Speaker? I will be challenging, Madam Speaker, and therefore, we must agree that even as we approve, we pass anything, Madam Speaker, in this house, we must ensure, Madam Speaker, we speak truth to the power. And governors should understand that they don't exist, they don't have powers that they can overrun the police, Madam Speaker, that they can overrun the security apparatus. Unless you are telling the country you no longer trust, Madam Speaker, under Article 37, the right to picket and demonstrate. You saw there were national protests. I didn't hear the president directing or taking people to street to counter-demonstrate. In fact, the president said, let people demonstrate and be given security as per Article 37 and 38. Unless Kapsabet town, Madam Speaker, is in another country. But if it is in the country that is Kenya, just like Kilifi, just like Mombasa, just like our neighbors in Kakamega, just like in Homa Bay, just like in Tana River, Madam Speaker, then there is a big problem, Madam Speaker. We should be called out, and I want to challenge the Inspector General of Police acting, even as he comes for vetting. We must see action as at now to ensure that we protect the right of Kenyans. Why would somebody have a problem? The other day, Madam Speaker, we normally have demonstrators here at the gate. You as the Speaker has never ordered anybody to be clobbered or being harassed for coming to Parliament to present their petition, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the SRC under Article 230, even in vetting. Madam Speaker, I was surprised because I saw members of National Assembly and it is unanswered. If somebody challenged me, I can produce. When the message was read of vetting of Inspector General of Police, I was embarrassed that some members of National Assembly, and it is in the interest of my minority leader, Madam Speaker, Senator Retired Justice Matzai, that some members of National Assembly said Senate does not have a role in vetting of Inspector General of Police. Which constitution are they reading? Which law? Security is a shared function, Madam Speaker. The security is a shared function, just like a disaster preparedness emergency. I was wondering, Madam Speaker, and I always get shocked. Which country are we in when members of National Assembly contest the vetting? Madam Speaker, if members of National Assembly embarrass themselves with what they did, they should not use that Senate to redeem themselves. They should redeem themselves. Why were they bash and attack Senate? They attacked us on conflict of interest bill. It is unanswered. They didn't want Senate to be part of the Inspector General of Police vetting. It is the Constitution. The law is very clear under Article 93. Parliament is the Senate and the National Assembly. Security is a shared function. You cannot say, and that is why we fought in this Parliament, and I know people who have stayed longer like Senator Mansai and Senator Kalwale will tell you, we wanted even governors to sit in County Security Committee. Because if a problem occurs today, you will need that governor to be part of security restored within that county or within that constituency, Madam. We fought for long. So it was embarrassing. Even senior house leaders, like my majority whip, Silvana Sosoro, I thought they should not bear, Madam Speaker, and the answer can bear me witness. And that is why, Madam Speaker, in conclusion, when I saw even vetting of CSS, I know the report is being written, Madam Speaker, but we can make general observations because it was an open process, Madam Speaker. You find years of vetting of cabinet nominees, Madam Speaker. Even the chair was talking more than the nominees and making just comments, Madam Speaker, and making funny comments. How do you tell a nominee don't bring your bedroom matters before this committee? Is that even a valid question to ask? Instead of asking how many taxes you are paid for this country, what is your ability, what is your competence? Madam Speaker, I'm impressed by a number of nominees. One person who impressed me is former Governor of Mombasa, HASSAN Joho. Despite getting a D-, he is having 2 masters and is going for PhD. Which inspiration would you want? That inspiration is the best. It means in life you must work hard. So from that vetting, at least the young people who do not perform well, people who went to Kumbaru, Madam Speaker. I know Senator Kalwala has not been having kind words towards me, but the inspiration of Governor HASSAN Joho, the nominee of mining and blue economy, Madam Speaker, even shocked the country with the grasp of Queen's language, with that clear thought process, Madam Speaker. I think that was the observation, Madam Speaker. Another nominee that impressed me was the former MP of Garissa Town, ADEN DUALE, Madam Speaker. I was happy with his honesty. He said he doesn't receive phone calls because members of Parliament are corrupt. Anyway, the chair did not decide to correct, so it is unanswered. Minister DUALE was an honest man. He said he does not receive our phone calls as members of Parliament because we are corrupt, Madam Speaker. But no one corrected. It is unanswered. We can print it and bring it here, Madam Speaker. So we need honest. Even Madam Speaker, Eric Muredi, that was having is what 32 million. I want to agree and challenge the GNC that Eric Muredi, Madam Speaker, if approved, will be Uliabaka said, he's only 32 million worth, he doesn't have a car. He's a young man with a vision. That should encourage, Madam Speaker, how we perform as a country. We should believe in the people that we have, Madam Speaker. So even as we did vetting, and I'm proposing this, Madam Speaker, going into the future, can you direct when our committees does vetting, like finance and budget? I have noticed in our committee rooms, Madam Speaker, there is no video recording. It is only answered. I wish and I request, and I wish the commissioners or the commissioner is here, at least every committee room should have a video recording so that we have the answer and video recording, so that some of us, Madam Speaker, some of these videos that are being vetted, Madam Speaker, can have opportunity to be able to go through, Madam Speaker. So the exercise that has been carried, we hope when the report will be tabled, I think, Madam Speaker, going into the future, let us ensure the track record, the capacity and ability, Madam Speaker, goes into the future, Madam Speaker. So we believe the vetting that was being done, and I want to request, Madam Speaker, I don't know how your office will look. I want to request the way we saw vetting in National Assembly with cabinet nominees. I don't know, we should have structured questions to be used in vetting, like the way the Finance and Budget Committee, Senator Kalwale is here, should tell us what would happen, Madam Speaker. Because the questions that were being asked, Madam Speaker, some are embarrassing, some were supposed to juxtapose, Madam Speaker. Let us ensure, even as we wait for the report, and I hope we'll get the report from the National Assembly when they table it on Wednesday or Thursday, Madam Speaker. That report, we should get it and ensure that it comes to place. Of course, Madam Speaker, I wouldn't have comments on nominee of sports because that is transferring incompetence from roads to sports, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, going into the future, we must agree under Article 230 on SRC that let us approve.
Senator CHERARGEI, I had given a direction regarding commenting on a process which has not been completed by the other house. I gave that direction to Senator Gloria, and it should have clearly informed your debate. It seems not to have been informed by that. And I now guide you not to touch that process until
Speaker,
it's determined,
yes,
and a report done by the other house. Because the integrity of that house is equally protected as the integrity. The process they are doing is equally protected, just like the process is being done by this house. So please withdraw that.
Madam Speaker, there is what we call fair comment in a fair administration process. And I'm just making a general comment. I have not mentioned anybody's name, unless you know that person. Have I? I have not.
The nominee is clearly known, Senator CHERARGEI.
Madam Speaker, I think the standing orders...
Every member would take judicial notice of who the nominee in respect of the Ministry of Sport is. So it is safest to do what Senator Gloria did, leave that process until it bakes fully, so that you don't interfere with the
I leave that process.
I
leave that process there. But Madam Speaker, for the benefit of the House, I would want to refer the House to Speaker Mate's case on the decision of his removal as the MPO Speaker. If you read the principle of the High Court, it talks about such instance. But I stand guided by your directions. Finally, Madam Speaker, and you know, I might be your voter in future. So you need to handle me very nicely also, Madam Speaker, as you try to get back to be the Secretary General of UDA. Madam Speaker, so I wonder Article 230.
Senator Boni, what is your point of order?
Yes, Madam Speaker, I've been listening to your guidance. I do really need further clarification. Your comment on Oroba, and now your comment on Senator CHERARGEI. In view of the centrality and the importance of public participation, does it therefore mean that nominees are not protected from the kind of speech that Gloria made and the kind of speech CHERARGEI has made? They are making a fair comment. They will not vote. It is up to the National Assembly to vote as they care, but to get as much information about those candidates as they can, including the remark that has been made by the Senator for Nandi. It's a question of opinion. If public participation is allowed, he should be free to say what he thinks about that candidate to help Parliament to make the proper decision. Please guide us. I think I'm lost.
Honorable Senator, thank you for seeking that clarification. The difference is that Those nominees are already sitting and have the opportunity to respond to any claim that will be raised by the interview panel. In this House, the nominees are not here yet. So if any issue is raised, they don't have the advantage. So we'll be breaching their rules of natural justice when they are going through an important process. So it is important that when such is raised before the determination is made, at least they be present to respond to it. And since they are not, and the report is not yet out, if the report was out and a verdict has already been rendered by this, then it will be easy to debate and it will be easy to accept as a public record once the report is out. So I still guide that since they cannot defend themselves, we allow the National Assembly to complete the process while we await the report. We will still have a chance to debate that report. I believe that. Thank you. You can finish, Senator CHERARGEI.
Madam Speaker, I want to wish well the two candidates. I know the law says President will appoint one. And the committee, of course, we hope to see those SRC members before this committee, Madam Speaker, but to support and ask the House to support and ask the SRC, if one of them, because there are two, if either of them succeed, Madam Speaker, they should assist the country in advising on the issue of ballooning, Madam Speaker, not only national wage, but also county wage. The only county that is below, Madam Speaker, because I have advantages, that is below 35% is Turkana County. The rest are beyond 35 as per the regulations on wage bill. We need also to work with County Public Service Board to bring that to an end. With those many remarks, Madam Speaker, and in suggesting remarks, I therefore support the report, Madam Speaker. I thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Kajwang Moses Otieno.
Madam Speaker, I rise to contribute to this motion. Whenever we give a task to committees of the House, it is our belief